There was nothing down here saying it's a restricted area.
What do you want?
I was taking some pictures and stuff. I'm making a little video of the area. Local force. That sort of stuff.
Purpose?
Pardon?
For what purpose?
Public interest.
To go where?
Pardon?
To go where?
Well, for public.
You're quite clearly filming us at the moment.
Yes, yeah. I film any interaction. Have you two police officers, are you?
Yes.
Have you got your warrant cards with you there since you're not in uniform? Pardon?
I'm walking out of a police building, aren't I?
Yeah, but you're obviously doing a stop and account with me, so I'd like... But you are, you're asking what I'm doing, which is by definition a stop and account. You're asking what I'm doing in an area, that's a stop and account. So if you're engaging in a policing activity, I'd like to know your warrant card, otherwise I'm just going to disengage from you and carry on with my business.
Okay.
Alright then. Alright, refusal to identify. So I'm just going to get your picture so I can report you to your Chief Constable.
Okay.
Cool.
This incident represents a clear violation of the College of Policing's Code of Ethics. The guidelines explicitly state that when officers interact with the public in the course of their duties, they must identify themselves by name and collar number. This isn't a formality or an act of politeness. It's a fundamental requirement meant to uphold transparency, accountability, and public trust. When an officer fails to provide identification, it removes the public's ability to verify who they are engaging with and undermines the very framework of accountability that policing depends on.
Not bad, how are you?
How's it going? We're going to...
Just, as you see, just taking some pictures out of your cars and out there.
Oh, okay.
That's all. Yeah. And you are, sorry?
Police officer.
And your collar number?
Are you an auditor, or are you...
And your collar number, please?
I'd like to give you my collar number. My identification is on my shoulder there.
And then if I can't read, it's not your policy to identify for members of the public?
Don't need to.
No, it's not identified.
When asked to identify himself, the officer claimed that merely pointing to his collar number was sufficient and that no further explanation was needed. However, this completely misses the point of proper identification. If the number is too small, obscured, or not visible from the individual's position, that gesture becomes meaningless. Officers are required to clearly and verbally identify themselves. It's not just a courtesy, but a key safeguard that promotes transparency, public confidence, and accountability. Without clear verbal confirmation, the public cannot properly verify who they're dealing with. And that lack of openness directly undermines the principles of ethical policing.
Does this cause issues, or you just have to
No,
try?
I'm just here to take pictures and that's all. As I said, I've just noticed as I was walking down to take pictures, your colleague's window was open, I could see the screen, made them aware of it.
Okay, that's... Have they sorted that?
Yeah, they closed the window, fine. Yeah, it's so simple as that.
Cool. Okay, I'm sure... we're not here to cause you a problem, I'm sure you're not here to cause a problem, we're just,
You know, your colleagues not in uniform refuse to identify while engaging in a policing activity. Not fantastic, is it? It's against policy, you are required to identify. You're engaging in a stop and account, you are required to identify, because if I have any complaints, how am I supposed to make that complaint if you haven't kept yourself to the accountability standards that the force requires? So, you know, again, you refuse to identify properly because, again, you don't know that I can read, so you're refusing to identify properly. Yes, you're in uniform, but again, if I want to make a complaint against you...
You can give the time and date and where the location where you are, my body cam's recording, so
oh, is it?
It can all be...
How come it's taken you this long to let me know that your body cam's recording?
I'm talking.
And is the policy not to, at the first, most practical opportunity to allow that?
It was the most practical time to inform you.
Was it? So, because you come in and gone hands-on with me?
I haven't gone hands-on.
Exactly, so why is not the first thing that you say, good afternoon or morning?
What you're doing, because that's the first question I asked you, and then we've had a conversation, and now I've told you.
But the first most practical opportunity is to say, good, by the way, you are being recorded.
Okay.
Otherwise, you could be covertly recording me under the Regulations of Investigatory Powers Act.
The officer finally admitted that he was recording. He justified the delay by claiming there hadn't been an appropriate moment to mention it earlier. But that explanation doesn't hold up. The exchange had been calm, orderly, and without any immediate tension or danger. There was ample opportunity to clearly state, I'm recording this interaction, right from the start. This wasn't an issue of timing, it was an issue of attitude and accountability. Failing to disclose the recording promptly shows a disregard for both policy and transparency, implying that compliance with procedure is optional when, in reality, it is a legal and ethical obligation.
But that's not happening, so don't worry about that.
It could, because it took you X amount of time to alert me when there was plenty. The only situation where it's not practical at the first opportunity is if you're going into a hands-on situation. Any other time, there's no reason, and this has been dealt with in the tribunal by the tribunal that deals with the REPA Act, that the first most practical opportunity is when you approach somebody. If you have your camera on or you turn it on, if you approach with your camera on, you should alert them when you approach, unless you're going hands-on. If you turn it on whilst engaging in a conversation, you should turn it on, and then once it's recording, so it's stated on the camera, by the way, you're being recorded for my safety and your safety, blah, blah, blah. You have the right to do it, same way that I have the right to do it. It's not a problem. It's the notification that's the problem.
Okay.
You know?
I've notified you at a time that I think is practical, so I've done that, so it's fine.
Okay, you can justify that to a tribunal. It's fine, no worries.
So what are you
So you're going to try to identify yourself properly yet?
No, I'm happy.
You're happy, yeah?
Yeah.
Would you like to identify yourself, or would you like a complaint as well, sir?
So can I ask you a question? Before my colleague steps in, just can I? So my name is PC2376.
Thank you. So that's how it's done. Thank you.
My colleague there was obviously made aware that the window was open.
Yeah.
And he's got concerns because of data protection and that you might have recorded something on your phone from the screens.
If there is anything, I'm not sure if there is or not. If anything is captured on there, that will be evidence for me to report that to the Information Commissioner's office, because obviously the onus of data protection is on the organisation, not on whoever sees that
You don't
information.
expect someone to stick their head through the window.
I didn't stick my head through it.
At this point, another officer attempted to shift blame onto the auditor, suggesting that he shouldn't have leaned through the window or filmed exposed information. But legally, that argument doesn't stand. Under the Data Protection Act, the responsibility to protect personal or sensitive data lies entirely with the organization that holds it. In this case, the police. If confidential material is visible from a public space, that constitutes a data breach, not a privacy violation by the person who recorded it. The accountability rests with the officers for failing to secure their systems, not with the citizen documenting what was openly accessible.
I just want to make sure, because somebody else's information, this is a secure site. Well,
I understand that.
It's not as secure as we'd like.
Well, no,
it to
exactly.
be.
It's not secure at all, is it? Really?
No. We are trying to work on that, but unfortunately, you have to do with what you've got to that.
Yeah. Even a bit of signage saying no unauthorised access beyond this point would go a long way, because I do respect signs like that.
No, okay.
I did have a look around, and there is nothing there.
I will genuinely take that to the senior leadership team, because
Fantastic.
I think that is fair enough.
Yeah, absolutely.
They are trying to redo everything.
Okay.
Financially, we have to wait until the budget.
That's why it's quite a small town, isn't it? Lower priority.
I
get it. Yeah.
We get shoved right to the bottom type of thing. We're right on the borders, between different forces and that. So it is totally. I understand where you're coming from, and I'll pass it on to the senior leadership.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I've just got concerns about the data protection that's on that video. Do you know what I mean? Because that's somebody else's private stuff and that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we obviously learn from things like that. So you've pointed it out. They've closed the window. It is really hot in there. We've got no air
Again, I completely understand that, but obviously data protection takes priority over that, unfortunately. You can get a fan in there, and I understand, I've worked in many various locations where health and safety data protection takes priority over that.
Is that a live?
It's not. I'm not live streaming. No.
If there is something, would you delete that?
Not necessarily delete it, but I would make it anonymous. I would blur it out if there is anything, if I were to post it anywhere.
Yeah, but
absolutely.
It's not their fault. You know what I mean?
No, of course. Obviously, I've raised the issue. I've raised the issue of data protection, and obviously, I raise it as an issue because I do see it as an issue. I'm not going to go share that information. That would be very hypocritical of me, wouldn't it?
Absolutely.
So if there is anything captured on the camera, it won't be made available to the public. It will be forwarded to the ICO.
That's fine. Yeah. Can I take your details?
No,
Can I take your name?
No, I'm alright.
Just first name, so I know who I'm speaking to.
No, I'm alright, thank you.
So you've got my calling number, but I can't take yours.
Yeah, but as a Crown servant, obviously you have issues of accountability when dealing with members of the public, and that's why. Yeah, I know.
Your first name. I don't even know anything.
I know, but then
else,
obviously
so
that coupled with my image, which obviously he's notified me is recording.
Obviously we do that because I'm open and honest. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We record things so that you can see what we do. And we can
absolutely.
See,
I completely agree with the use of body cameras. Completely.
That's the thing is that I can't hide saying, "Oh no, I didn't say this man," or "This man didn't say anything."
No, exactly the same reason why I record any interaction I have with you as well.
Yeah, that's why we record everything. I protect my back because the amount of people have said we do things.
Of course,
we don't.
Yeah. But with your collar number and that, obviously, you have to identify. You did it correctly verbally because you can't guarantee that I can read.
What I mean?
But you have to wear that for accountability reasons. That's why I'm entitled to have that, because you're dealing with a member of the public in a stop and account situation. Accountability, you have to identify yourself for that exact reason, which he doesn't seem to understand. And sorry, we got interrupted. Would you like the opportunity to identify?
4988 PC Biffin.
Sorry,
PC Biffin.
And your collar number, please?
4988.
4988. There you go. Thank you. Would you like another opportunity?
No, I'm fine.
No, you're fine. Okay, so you're just going to be an absolute idiot.
Interestingly, every other officer at the scene had no issue identifying themselves. They clearly stated their names and collar numbers when asked, showing professionalism and transparency. But one officer chose a completely different approach. Rather than follow the same standard, he doubled down with a dismissive attitude, as if the rules didn't apply to him. This kind of ego-driven behavior undermines accountability and sends the wrong message to the public. When an officer treats basic identification as optional, it erodes confidence in the very institution meant to uphold integrity and trust.
And we have to rely
Yes,
on
but
that.
you have a collar number for the specific reason. As we've just heard us discuss, for accountability reasons, you're making a very large assumption I have the ability to read that my eyesight is good enough to read that.
These two officers are identified, and if you do
Yep.
need my details, they can be.
Okay, that's still, again, that's not your policy,
Okay,
so that's fine. I'll make a complaint to your
Okay,
chief
not a problem
constable,
at
that's
all.
not a problem.
Not a problem
Actually, I'll probably go straight through the IOPC, because otherwise it goes to your local PSD and gets kicked down and disregarded.
That's not a problem at all. If you
no
do that,
worries.
that's absolutely
Okay,
fine.
nice picture of your face as well, so I can just make sure that goes to the right person.
Yeah, no problem.
Is there anything else I can
Lovely.
help you with today, sir?
No, as I said, obviously, I've made the issue of that window, and I've made that aware.
Which I'm literally going to go speak to.
Moments like these highlight a crucial truth. It's not always the big incidents that shape public trust, but the small, everyday choices. When officers start dismissing basic obligations or treating established rules as flexible, that's when confidence in the system begins to crumble. True accountability isn't measured by how someone reacts in a crisis, but by their consistency in the ordinary moments. That's where real integrity shows. Anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Drop a comment below. And if you value these kinds of in-depth breakdowns, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more.